The room went quiet after the 99th rejection. Crystal glasses sat untouched. Perfume hung heavy in the air. One by one, women who were praised by magazines, desired by millionaires, and chosen by powerful families had walked away from his table, dismissed with a single look. He didn't even bother to learn their names. The Korean Mafia boss sat alone in the VIP section, calm, controlled, untouchable. A man raised to believe love was weakness. A man trained to choose power over feeling. A man who had turned down every woman his empire offered him. Then, across the club, something changed. Not a model. Not a socialite. Not a woman trying to be noticed. A black waitress moved through the crowd, balancing trays, avoiding drunk hands, focused only on her work. She didn't look at him. She didn't know who he was. She didn't care. And that was the moment he stopped breathing. Because for the first time in his life, the most dangerous man in the room didn't choose power. He chose her. And that single decision would put an entire empire at risk. The club never slept. Even at midnight, it breathed, bass thumping like a second heartbeat, lights pulsing red and gold, bodies moving in practiced rhythm. The Eclipse wasn't just a nightclub. It was a filter. Everyone inside wanted something. Money. Status. Protection. Access. At the highest level, behind a velvet rope and two men who never blinked, sat Kang Junho. He didn't drink much. He didn't smile at all. He watched. From his seat in the VIP section, Junho could see everything. The entrances, the exits, the way people angled their bodies when they realized who was near. Fear had a posture. Desire did too. After years of running an empire built on silence and blood, he recognized both instantly. Another woman approached his table. She was flawless. Designer dress. Perfect hair. She spoke his language, smiled with confidence, mentioned her family name like a credential. Junho raised one finger. No. She froze, disbelief flashing across her face before she recovered and walked away, heels clicking sharp against the marble floor. His men didn't react. They'd seen it 98 times before. 99, now. His right-hand man leaned closer. Your father is not pleased. Junho didn't answer. His jaw tightened just enough to show the thought landed. His father was never pleased. Not unless obedience followed. Below them, the club surged. That was when someone bumped into a table near the bar, sending a glass wobbling dangerously close to the edge. A hand shot out. Steady. Controlled. The waitress caught it before it fell. She didn't smile for applause. Didn't look around to see who noticed. She corrected the tray on her shoulder and kept moving, weaving through bodies like she'd memorized the room blindfolded. Junho's gaze followed her without him realizing it. She wasn't dressed to be seen. Simple black skirt. White blouse. Hair pulled back tight, natural curls escaping at the edges. Dark skin glowing under the lights. There was tension in her shoulders, not fear, not submission, but focus. A drunk man grabbed at her wrist. She didn't flinch. She removed his hand calmly, firmly, and said something low he couldn't hear. The man laughed, then stopped laughing when her eyes hardened. She stepped away without spilling a single drink. Junho leaned forward. Who is she? He asked. His man glanced down. New. 2 weeks. Waitress. That was all. 2 weeks. No background. No connections. No idea where she stood. She passed beneath the VIP section without looking up. Not once. She didn't scan faces. Didn't calculate tips. Didn't perform. She worked. Something in Junho shifted, subtle, unfamiliar. Not desire. Not yet. It was recognition. The same quiet alertness he saw in people who had learned early that no one was coming to save them. He watched as another patron snapped his fingers at her. She stopped. Listened. Nodded. Walked away. No resentment. No smile. Just dignity. Junho exhaled slowly. For the first time that night, he wasn't thinking about his father. Or the women who had been paraded in front of him like offerings. Or the future that had already been decided. He was thinking about a waitress who didn't know his name. And how dangerous it was that she didn't care. He lifted his hand slightly. One of his men leaned in. "Bring her to me." Below, she turned toward the bar, unaware that her life was about to change. And above, Kang Junho sat back in his chair, already sensing that this was not a game he could control. Not anymore. She felt it before she heard it. That subtle shift in the room. The way air tightens when power moves. The bartender leaned toward her as she reached the counter. "VIP wants you." She frowned slightly. "Which table?" He didn't answer. He just nodded upward. Her stomach sank. VIP meant trouble 9 times out of 10. Men who tipped big but listened poorly. Men who thought money replaced manners. Still, she adjusted the tray in her hands and nodded once. "Okay." She wiped her palms on her apron as she climbed the short staircase that separated the main floor from the elevated section. With every step, the bass softened, replaced by a heavy quiet. Conversations lowered here. Laughter was careful. Eyes watched. 2 men stood at the entrance, black suits, no expressions. One of them stepped aside without a word. She walked in. The first thing she noticed was the silence. Not empty silence. Controlled silence. Men stood spaced apart like furniture. All of them alert. All of them watching her. And at the center, seated with his back straight and his hands folded loosely on the table, was him. Up close, Kang Junho was worse. Sharper. Taller than she expected when he stood to acknowledge her presence. His suit was tailored to perfection, dark and understated, the kind of clothing that didn't announce wealth because it didn't need to. His face was calm, but his eyes didn't rest. They assessed. She kept her chin level. "You asked for a waitress?" His gaze lingered on her for half a second too long. Not on her body. On her face. "Yes." Just one word. She waited. Most men filled silence with arrogance. He didn't. He let it stretch, let it test her. She shifted her weight, unimpressed. "If you're ready to order," she said evenly, "I can take." "Sit." The word landed between them like a dropped knife. She didn't move. "I'm working," she replied. "If you want service, I'll stand." Something flickered across his face. Surprise. Real surprise. One of the men behind him stiffened, as if expecting consequences. Junho raised a hand slightly, and the tension eased. "Very well," he said. "Stand." She stepped closer to the table, setting her tray down with deliberate care. Her hands didn't shake. She'd dealt with worse than men who thought silence made them kings. "What can I get you?" she asked. He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he asked, "Do you know who I am?" There it was. She met his eyes without hesitation. "No." A few of the men exchanged glances. Junho studied her, as if waiting for recognition to bloom. It didn't. "I own this club," he said. She nodded once. "Then congratulations." That did it. A low breath escaped him. Almost a laugh. "And if I asked you to stay?" he continued. Her expression hardened. "Then I'd say no." Direct. Clean. No apology. "You don't even know what I'm offering." "I know enough," she said. "I don't sit with customers." Another silence. Thicker now. Dangerous. Junho leaned back slightly, folding his arms. "Everyone else does." "I'm not everyone else." Her voice was steady, but inside, her heart had started to race. Not fear, instinct. The same instinct that told her when to leave a room before something went wrong. She reached for her tray. "If that's all." "Wait." She paused, irritation flashing in her eyes. "Sir." "Dinner," he said. "Outside this place. Neutral ground. One meal." She laughed softly before she could stop herself. "No." The word hung there. "No," she repeated. "I don't date customers. And I don't accept offers that come with strings." "You haven't heard the terms." "There's always terms." For a long moment, he didn't respond. He looked at her like she was something unfamiliar, something that didn't obey the rules he understood. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated. Names were power. Still, she answered. "Amina." "Amina," he repeated, testing the sound. You can leave if you want. She blinked. That wasn't what she expected. No consequences, he continued. No pressure. One dinner. Or you walk away and nothing changes. She searched his face for mockery. Found none. Why? She asked quietly. His jaw tightened. Just slightly. Because you're the first person tonight who didn't want something from me. That gave her pause. Not long. Just enough. She looked around, the guards, the quiet menace, the privilege wrapped in silk and steel. Then back at him. One dinner, she said finally. Public place. I choose. A corner of his mouth lifted. Not a smile. Something closer to relief. Agreed. She picked up her tray and stepped back. I'm still on shift. I know. As she turned to leave, she felt his eyes on her again. This time, not calculating. Watching. Down below, the music swallowed her whole, but her thoughts stayed upstairs. And Kang Junho remained seated, staring at the empty space where she'd stood, aware for the first time that control didn't feel like power anymore. It felt like risk. The city watched them before they ever saw each other again. Rain slicked the sidewalks, neon signs bleeding into puddles like bruised light. Manhattan moved fast, indifferent, unaware that two lives were drifting toward a collision neither could outrun. Amina arrived first. She chose the place deliberately. A small restaurant tucked between a bookstore and a dry cleaner. Warm lights. No velvet ropes. No private rooms. The kind of place where power didn't mean much and money couldn't silence witnesses. She sat near the window, back straight, hands folded around a glass of water she hadn't touched. Her reflection stared back at her in the glass, calm on the surface, tension in the eyes. She told herself this was just dinner. One meal. One conversation. Nothing more. The bell above the door chimed. Every instinct in her body went on alert. Kang Junho didn't announce himself. He didn't need to. The room shifted anyway. Not because people recognized him, but because some men carried gravity whether they wanted to or not. He wore a simple coat this time. No entourage. No visible guards. Still, his presence pressed against the space like a held breath. He spotted her instantly. When their eyes met, something unreadable passed between them. Not attraction. Not yet. Recognition. He approached slowly, hands visible, posture relaxed but aware. Like a man stepping into unfamiliar territory. You chose well, he said, pulling out the chair across from her but waiting. Sit, she replied. He did. Silence settled, not awkward, not hostile. Curious. I didn't think you'd come, he admitted. I didn't think I would either. Honesty again. It surprised them both. They ordered. Simple food. Simple wine. He didn't touch his glass at first. Neither did she. So, she said, breaking the quiet. Why 99? He looked at her sharply. You did your research. I listen, she replied. People talk. They always do, he said. Then, after a beat, 99 women my father thought would make me obedient. That's a very specific number. They were very specific women, he said flatly. Beautiful. Connected. Strategic. And none of them mattered. They mattered, he corrected. Just not to me. She studied him now, really studied him. The scar along his jaw. The faint tension he carried even at rest. You didn't say no because you're cold, she said slowly. You said no because you don't want to be owned. Something dark flickered in his eyes. Careful, he said. That's a dangerous conclusion. So is being wrong about people, she replied. The food arrived, breaking the moment. They ate. Slowly. Conversation unfolded in fragments. Where she grew up, how many jobs she worked, how she learned to read rooms before she learned to trust people. He didn't interrupt. Didn't correct. Didn't patronize. When she finished, he said quietly, you don't belong in that club. Neither do you, she shot back. That earned him a real smile. Brief. Rare. The evening might have ended there. It should have. But the world Kang Junho lived in never allowed clean exits. Halfway through dessert, His phone vibrated. Once. He ignored it. Then again. He glanced at the screen, and whatever he saw wiped the warmth from his face. His shoulders squared. The man from the VIP section returned in an instant. "What is it?" Amina asked. "Nothing," he lied. She stood. "Then I'm leaving." He looked up, startled. "Why?" "Because I don't stay at tables where the truth just left." For a moment, it looked like he might argue. Instead, he exhaled. Slowly. "My father knows." Her pulse jumped. "Knows what?" "About you." That single sentence changed everything. "You told him?" she demanded. "No," he said firmly. "I never talk about my personal life." "Then how?" "He has eyes everywhere." The waiter passed by. Junho lowered his voice. "He doesn't like unpredictability," he continued. "And you are extremely unpredictable." She absorbed that. "Am I in danger?" He met her gaze without flinching. "Not yet." Not yet. 2 words. Heavy. Ominous. She picked up her coat. "This was a mistake." "No," he said quickly. "This was real. And that's exactly why it's dangerous." Outside, the rain had turned heavier, drumming against the awning as they stepped onto the sidewalk. "I didn't ask for this," she said. "Neither did I," he replied. "But now it exists." She turned to face him. "I won't be controlled. Not by you. Not by your father. Not by anyone." "I know," he said. "That's the problem." A black car rolled slowly past the restaurant and didn't stop. But it didn't leave either. Junho noticed. So did she. His hand brushed her elbow, not possessive. Protective. "Go straight home," he said. "Don't take the subway. I'll have someone." "No," she snapped. "No guards. No shadows. I don't want to owe you anything." He hesitated, then nodded. "Then at least let me watch you leave." She did. As she disappeared into the rain-soaked street, Junho stayed where he was, jaw clenched, eyes tracking every passing car. For the first time in years, power felt like a liability. And somewhere across the city, a man who had built an empire on control was already deciding how to remove the one variable his son had failed to eliminate. The game had shifted. And love, quiet, fragile, defiant love, had just stepped onto the board. Power never announces itself with noise. It moves quietly. Through signatures. Phone calls. Closed doors. By the time Amina realized something was wrong, it had already begun. The next morning felt off in ways she couldn't explain. The diner where she worked smelled the same: burnt coffee, grease, exhaustion, but the energy had shifted. Conversations stopped when she walked past. Her manager wouldn't meet her eyes. "Amina," Marcus said finally, voice tight. "Can we talk in the back?" Her stomach dropped before he finished the sentence. They stood beside stacked crates and a flickering fluorescent light. He rubbed his hands together like he was cold. "I'm sorry," he said. "I really am." "Sorry for what?" she asked, already knowing. "The building was sold last night. New owners. And they gave me a list." Her name was the only one on it. She laughed once. Sharp. Disbelieving. "I've never missed a shift." "I know. I cover weekends. Holidays." "I know." "Then why?" Marcus swallowed. "They said you weren't a good fit." Amina felt something inside her go still. Not break. Freeze. She walked out without yelling. Without crying. Without begging. Outside, her phone buzzed. Junho. She didn't answer. She already knew. Across the city, Kang Junho was standing very still. David hovered near the office door, waiting for permission to speak. He'd delivered bad news before. Plenty of times. This one was different. "Say it," Junho said. "Your father made a move," David replied. "Indirect. Clean. No fingerprints." Junho closed his eyes. "How many?" "Just the diner. For now." A muscle jumped in his jaw. "He's testing me." "Yes." And how? Yes. Junho turned, rage coiled tight beneath his calm. Did she call? No. That hurt more than he expected. Amina spent the afternoon walking. No destination. Just movement. She crossed bridges. Past people who didn't see her. Let the city swallow her fear before it could surface. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She answered. Miss Carter, a smooth voice said. This is James Kang. Her blood went cold. I was hoping we could talk. I have nothing to say to you. Oh, I think you do, he replied pleasantly. And I believe you'll find what I have to say persuasive. She laughed bitterly. You got me fired. Congratulations. I removed a complication, he corrected. Temporary discomfort. Necessary. For who? For my son. A pause. Let me be very clear, James continued. Junho has responsibilities. Alliances. A future that cannot include unpredictability. You mean me? Yes. Her grip tightened around the phone. Then tell him to say that himself. He won't, James said. Because he's compromised. By caring? By weakness. Amina stopped walking. What do you want? Distance, James replied. You walk away. Quietly. Permanently. And if I don't? Another pause. Calculated. Then this becomes unpleasant, he said. Jobs disappear. Leases collapse. Assistance dries up. You are a woman with no protection in a city that doesn't forgive. Her heart pounded, but her voice stayed steady. You think fear makes people obedient. In my experience, James said calmly, it makes them smart. The line went dead. That night, Junho found her on the Brooklyn Bridge. She stood at the railing, coat pulled tight, eyes fixed on the water below. I told him to stop, Junho said quietly behind her. She didn't turn. Did you tell him to stop before or after I lost my job? He flinched. I didn't know he'd move this fast. But you knew he would move. Yes. She faced him then, anger finally breaking through. So this is the cost of being near you? No, he said. This is the cost of him losing control. And what happens next? She asked. Does my rent disappear? My credit? My mother's medical coverage? Silence. That was answer enough. I won't be collateral damage, she said. I won't let you be. You don't get to decide that, she snapped. Your world doesn't just hurt you, Junho. It consumes everyone around you. He stepped closer. Then let me fight it. By burning everything down, she demanded. Because that's what men like you do when they are cornered. He stopped. She'd hit something true. My father wants me to marry, he said finally. An alliance. A consolidation of power. And if you refuse? War. She exhaled slowly. And if you choose me? His voice was barely audible. War. The city roared beneath them. Then don't, she whispered. He stared at her. What? Choose the safe path, she said. Protect your people. Your empire. I don't want an empire without you. She smiled sadly. That's exactly why I can't stay. His hands clenched at his sides. You think leaving will protect me? I think staying will destroy you. They stood there, two people holding opposite ends of the same truth. Her phone buzzed. She didn't look. I need time, she said. Space. And if my father comes for you again? She met his eyes, resolve hardening. Then I won't run. That scared him more than anything she'd said. She walked away before he could stop her. For the first time in his life, Kang Junho watched someone leave not because he was feared, but because he was loved. Across the city, James Kang reviewed a report. Debt. Family. Leverage. He smiled faintly. Prepare the next step, he said. If she wants to be brave, let's see how long courage lasts without oxygen. The board was set. And the final test was coming. The city was quieter than usual that night, though the streets still hummed with the pulse of a million lives. Neon signs flickered, casting jagged shadows across cracked sidewalks. But to Amina, the world felt suspended, like the air itself was holding its breath, waiting for what was coming. She sat on a fire escape above the diner, legs dangling, staring at the lights across the East River. Each ripple of water mirrored the turbulence inside her chest. Every heartbeat was a countdown. Her phone vibrated. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Miss Carter," said James Kang, voice calm, almost cordial. "Your choices have consequences." "You've already proved that," she said, keeping her tone steady. "What now?" "Now," he said, "you realize what it means to stand against me. To resist my son. I admire your bravery. But bravery has a price." "I'm not afraid of you," she said, though her hands shook slightly. She hated admitting the faint tremor of fear, the way it betrayed her. James let out a soft chuckle. "Good. Fear is weakness. But love," his voice deepened, deliberate. "Love is more dangerous." Amina's stomach sank. She didn't need to ask, she already knew. This was about Junho. He had been pulled into a game she didn't want to play, and James was tightening the noose. Across town, Junho paced the private floors of his office. His usual composure was frayed. Every knock on the door made his heart skip. Every shadow in the corridor seemed like an ambush. David, ever loyal, watched him carefully. "Sir, she's brave. Perhaps too brave." "Brave?" Junho's voice was low, almost growling. "She's human. Vulnerable. She doesn't have my weapons. My resources. And yet she walks headfirst into my father's storm. That's why she's remarkable." Junho's jaw clenched. "And terrifying. If anything happens to her," his voice faltered. The room seemed colder. Darker. David didn't interrupt. He understood. Junho had never admitted this to anyone. Not even himself. Meanwhile, Amina made her way through dimly lit streets. Every step was measured, cautious. Every passerby a potential threat. Her mind raced, but her heart refused to be controlled. A soft ping. Another message from an unknown number. "You will leave. Or you will burn everything you love. The choice is yours." She crumpled it, anger rising. Her life had been threatened, her job stripped, her sense of security dismantled piece by piece. But she refused to surrender, not now, not ever. Her resolve coalesced into action. She pulled her coat tighter and walked toward the one place she knew she needed to go. At the same time, Junho made his decision. He couldn't wait. He couldn't strategize endlessly. His empire could survive countless attacks, betrayals, and rivalries, but losing her was a line he could not cross. He stepped into the night, every muscle coiled, mind sharpened to a single point: find her. Protect her. Convince her. The diner. Empty except for a flickering lamp and the faint smell of old coffee. She had returned to the place she had been happiest, safest, most human. Junho appeared in the doorway without knocking. She spun, heart pounding, a mix of anger and relief washing over her. "You shouldn't have come," she said, voice firm. "I had to," he replied, stepping closer. His eyes bore into hers, filled with desperation she had never seen before. "I can't let him win. I won't let him control you. Or me. You don't get to choose for me," she whispered, but her voice betrayed the ache inside her. "I'm not choosing for you," he said, voice breaking. "I'm choosing with you. I can't let go, Amina. Not now. Not ever." The tension exploded, silent yet deafening. Two hearts, two wills, colliding in the quiet hum of the diner. The weight of their worlds pressed down, yet in that moment, it didn't matter. Amina stepped closer, eyes wide. "And if we lose?" "We won't," he said. "We can't. Not when it's us." Their hands found each other instinctively, fingers intertwining. Sparks ignited, not just of desire, but of something deeper. Something unbreakable. A car engine roared outside. A shadow passed the window. Danger was still real. But in that fragile, fleeting moment, nothing else existed. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She didn't look. She didn't answer. Junho held her tighter. "They can't touch you," he said. "Not while I'm standing here." Amina finally let herself breathe. Let herself feel. Her heart thumped wildly, not from fear, but from love. Pure, untamed, unrelenting love. This was the emotional peak, the moment where fear, desire, anger, and hope collided. Where the stakes were higher than ever, and yet, for a brief, luminous moment, they were untouchable. They didn't speak again. Words would only betray the magnitude of what they felt. Silence carried it all. The tension, the longing, the commitment to face whatever came next, together. Outside, the city waited. Dangerous. Unforgiving. But inside, in the heart of the diner, love had carved a fortress. And for the first time, Junho allowed himself to believe, truly believe, that they could survive this storm. The night stretched on, shadows lengthening, danger lurking. But for now, in the quiet hum of flickering neon, nothing else mattered. Because sometimes, love is louder than threats. Stronger than fear. And infinitely more dangerous. The sun had barely begun to rise over the city, casting a soft, golden haze across the skyline. The streets, once menacing under the night's neon glow, now seemed almost ordinary, mundane even, but the echoes of the previous night still lingered. Shadows of danger had not disappeared, they had merely been pushed to the edges, waiting, silent and patient. Inside the diner, Amina and Junho sat across from each other in a quiet corner. The remnants of last night's storm, the tension, the fear, the emotional rollercoaster still hummed in their veins. Yet something had shifted. A fragile peace had settled, a promise between them that neither the Mafia world nor any obstacle could easily dismantle. Amina stirred her coffee slowly, her eyes meeting his across the table. She saw vulnerability there, a crack in the armor of a man the world feared. It was a sight few had witnessed, and one that made her heart tighten. "You could have walked away," she said quietly. "You didn't have to risk everything, for me." Junho leaned back, fingers drumming on the table. "I could have, but I couldn't. Not after seeing you in danger. Not after realizing that letting you go was the same as letting a part of me die." She swallowed hard, words failing her. The depth of his confession settled like a weight and a warmth all at once. "I wasn't sure if love like this existed," she admitted, "someone who doesn't just want you, but would fight every shadow to keep you safe." Junho's hand reached across the table, covering hers. "It does. And now I know it's worth everything." Outside, the world was awakening. Cars hummed, vendors set up their carts, and city life continued as if nothing had happened. But inside, in that small bubble of the diner, the universe had shifted for these two souls. Later, Junho escorted her safely home. The streets were still a labyrinth of risk, but his presence was a shield. Every step forward was a declaration, he would not allow fear to dictate their future. When they arrived, Amina turned to him, a quiet question in her gaze. "So, what now?" He smiled, a rare, unguarded expression. "Now? Now we rebuild. We navigate the dangers, yes, but together. No more shadows controlling us. No more threats dictating who we are. We decide." Amina's lips curved into a tentative smile. "Together." The following weeks were a dance between the dangerous world Junho inhabited and the life Amina wanted to lead. She stayed close but never lost her independence, a balance that required trust, courage, and patience. James Kang, the looming threat, realized the futility of trying to manipulate Amina. He had underestimated her resilience, her courage, and above all, the bond she shared with his son. One quiet morning, an official notice arrived. A subtle yet unmistakable withdrawal of his threats. A warning, perhaps, but a retreat nonetheless. Junho watched her read the letter, relief washing over him like a tide. "See," he said softly. "Nothing can break us when we stand together." Amina nodded, her eyes shimmering. "It's not over, though, is it?" "No," he admitted. "But it doesn't have to be a war. We choose our battles now. Together. Always." Months later, the diner became a familiar refuge. It was no longer just a place of work for Amina, it was a symbol of survival, of love, and of courage. Junho would sometimes visit, blending into the small crowd, an ordinary man in an extraordinary world. They laughed more than they argued. They shared quiet moments, stolen glances, and the kind of intimacy built not just on desire, but on respect and mutual understanding. Every kiss, every touch, carried the weight of what they had endured, and the promise of what they had chosen to fight for. The emotional crescendo had passed, but the love, the real, unshakable kind, remained. And in that love, they found something even the shadows could not touch: freedom. Freedom to feel. Freedom to trust. Freedom to live. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in fiery hues, Junho and Amina sat on a rooftop overlooking the city. Hands intertwined, hearts synchronized, they allowed themselves a rare moment of peace. "Do you ever think about the first time we met?" Amina asked, her voice soft. "Every day," he admitted. "I thought I had no room for anyone in my life. I was wrong." She leaned against him, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. "I thought I was just another person you'd turn away." "You weren't. And you never will be," he whispered. For a moment, the chaos of the world seemed distant, almost unreal. The Korean Mafia, the threats, the danger, they all faded into a background hum. What mattered was here, in this rooftop sanctuary, in the hands they held and the vows they silently made to protect each other. And so, their story, marked by fear, risk, and unrelenting danger, found its resolution not in the absence of obstacles, but in the triumph of love. The black waitress who dared to stand in the eye of a storm had changed the course of a mafia king's heart. And the Korean mafia boss, once a man who had turned down 99 women, had finally chosen not just love, but a life intertwined with courage, respect, and passion. The city below continued its restless rhythm, but above it, two hearts beat as one, unshakable and enduring. And sometimes, love, real, daring, unstoppable love, is the only force strong enough to rewrite destinies. If you love shocking stories with heart, subscribe and join the family.